Today I will be sharing my family's favorite 5-ingredient dinners with you. 5-ingredient dinners are some of my all-time favorite dinners to make. They have simple pantry staple ingredients in them. You throw the ingredients together. Dinner is a total breeze. Also, my newest cookbook is available now. Make it simple. Let's get to my kitchen. Let's get to cooking. To kick us off today, we are making this easy baked chuck roast. This is my go-to dinner when we're having people over for dinner. And you know, I don't want to make anything extravagant. I just want a delicious, simple meal. Spray a 9x13 baking dish with nonstick spray. Add your large chuck roast right in there. Then you're going to add in 1 cup of beef broth. You're also going to add in a dash of salt and pepper. Just season both sides of the chuck roast with that salt and pepper. This is going to come out so delicious in the end. You have to trust me. You don't really need to add in any more seasonings than this. I've added in like a beefy onion soup packet in the past, and that's also super good, but salt and pepper is just honestly my favorite. After you're through with that, cover the top with foil, and then this recipe is in my newest cookbook. It is on page 142. I have over 150 recipes in my new cookbook, but bake this in a preheated oven to 325 degrees for about 4 hours. It will be fall apart tender. The edges will be like a little bit crispy. We served ours over a bed of mashed potatoes with a side salad on the side. You need to try this one. Whenever I talk to one of my friends, she always brings up this minimal ingredient meatloaf just because it's one of her husband's favorite meals, so now that is what we are making. To a large bowl, add in 1.5 pounds of ground beef, 3 tablespoons of milk, 1/4 cup of ketchup, 2 cracked eggs, 6 ounces of stuffing mix. You could use like any brand or any type you like. Mix this all together super well. I'm just using like my meat masher. And then once you are through mixing this well, you're going to pull out a smaller bowl. Into the bowl, we're making the glaze, so add in 1/4 cup of brown sugar, 1/2 cup of ketchup, and a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. Give this a super duper good stir until you know everything is well combined. And you will find this recipe on page 167 in my newest cookbook. Every single page has at least one photo. This book has like the easiest dump and go or few ingredient recipes. That is why I made this book. It's dedicated to like the easiest either dump and go or few ingredient recipes, but pull out a pan, spray it with nonstick spray, add your meatloaf in there, then you're going to place your glaze over the top, kind of like, you know, brush it on. Bake this in a preheated oven to 350 degrees for about 40 minutes or until the center is cooked through. I think we could all agree together, meatloaf is definitely not the most beautiful thing in the world, but let me tell you, this recipe is amazing. If you haven't tried meatloaf in a while, or you think you might not be a fan of it, you need to try this one. It is amazing. Now we're getting started on this Taquito casserole. This is kind of one of my go-to dinners that I love making, you know, when I don't know what I'm going to make for dinner and I have some pantry staples at my house. Spray a 9x13 baking dish with nonstick spray, then add a can of refried beans to the bottom. Just spread that can out, and then you're going to add some frozen taquitos over the top of the refried beans. I'm using the chicken and cheese taquitos, but you could use beef taquitos, you could use veggie taquitos, you could really use any taquitos you like. This recipe is also in my newest cookbook. If you were wondering if there's any of the same recipes from my first cookbook and my second cookbook, you know, none of them are the same. My new cookbook has all new recipes, and like I said, they're the easiest like dump and go minimal ingredient recipes. Every single page has a high quality photo. Anyway, now pour about 20 ounces of enchilada sauce over your taquitos. I'm using red enchilada sauce. I've used green enchilada sauce in the past, and that's equally as delicious. Bake it on 400 degrees for 25 minutes, then sprinkle 2 cups of Mexican style cheese over the top. Bake it for about 10 more minutes, and this will easily become one of your new favorite easy weeknight dinners. This dinner is easy to throw together. Like I said, just top it with anything you have on hand. It tastes like you spent hours and hours trying to make it, but secretly, you know, it's like one of the easiest dinners you could ever throw together. Now we're making this wonderful no-peak pork chop casserole. So I have a 9x13 baking dish right here that I sprayed with nonstick spray. I'm adding in 1 can of cream of chicken soup along with a can of cream of mushroom soup. I'm using the cream of mushroom soup with roasted garlic. I just think it adds so much great
great flavor, and I recommend you doing that, but if you can't find that at your store, normal cream of mushroom soup will work. Next, I added in 2 cups of chicken broth and a cup and a half of uncooked jasmine rice, or you could use white rice if you prefer. Give this a really good whisk to incorporate the ingredients together. Now you're going to want to add in a half a pack of Lipton onion soup mix. Just sprinkle that on top and then stir this again. That's pretty much all the seasonings we're going to add, just that packet of soup mix, just because it really does add a lot of great flavor. Now for the pork chops, I'm using 4 boneless pork chops and just place them right on top of the casserole. Make sure they're not overlapping, and then you're going to want to sprinkle the other half of the Lipton onion soup mix over the top of the pork chops. This gives them wonderful flavor. Cover this with foil and bake this in a preheated oven to 350 degrees for about 75 minutes, or until the rice is fluffy and the pork chops are tender. Here's my plate of food. This is not your average pork chop dinner. These are not your basic hockey puck dry pork chops. These pork chops are so tender and so delicious. My family absolutely devours this dinner, and that rice is perfectly fluffy. I did serve this alongside of some steamed carrots. My little ones were asking to make these Avalanche cookies last week, and I just couldn't say no. They're like one of my favorite cookies to make. To a microwave-safe bowl, add in 16 ounces of white chocolate bark. Microwave it for about a minute at a time, stirring after every minute until it is smooth like this. Then stir in 3/4 cup of peanut butter. I like using the creamy peanut butter, and just let that peanut butter get combined with the chocolate. And then once it is silky and smooth like this, you're going to stir in 2 cups of crispy rice cereal. You're also going to stir in a cup and a half of mini marshmallows, along with a half a cup of mini chocolate chips. Give this a good stir. If you have never made Avalanche cookies, you need to. It's like the perfect fall/winter treat. They're also a no-bake dessert, so they're very easy. Also, of course, I added this recipe in my newest cookbook, and if you ordered a book yesterday, I will be hand signing it. I'm also signing all of today's orders, so if you just look on my online store and it says that I'm still signing books, your book will definitely be signed. Just place scoops of this onto parchment or wax paper. Then you'll sprinkle the top with a little bit more mini chocolate chips. Just place this in your fridge for at least 30 minutes. You just want to give it time, so that chocolate can harden and kind of set up. Here's what they look like now that they're set up. If you've ever had Rocky Road ice cream before, this is very similar to Rocky Road ice cream, but no nuts. If you want to add nuts, you could always add nuts in, but this is a very easy fail-proof dessert to make. Absolutely delicious. We love these Avalanche cookies. Now we're getting started on these fajita bowls. I really need to make them more often. They're just so good. Slice 2 bell peppers into smaller pieces. Now slice 1 red onion into smaller pieces as well. Over to the pan on my stove, just add in a tablespoon of olive oil. Once the oil gets hot, add in those peppers and the onion. Then you're going to add in 1.5 pounds of cubed chicken breast. I just cubed my chicken breast, into smaller cubes. If you wanted to, you could use steak for this recipe or shrimp, but I really do like how chicken, turns out for this recipe. Also add in 2 tablespoons of taco seasoning, or you could use fajita seasoning. Give this a stir, and you're going to let this cook on your stove for about 10 minutes, stirring it occasionally until that chicken cooks through. And then once your chicken is completely cooked through and those veggies are tender, stir in a 15-ounce can of drained and rinsed black beans. If you're a bean fan, just let those beans heat through, and that is all you have to do for this dinner. I'm just going to serve this in a crispy tortilla. I'm also serving this alongside of some cilantro lime rice. For that rice, I just cooked up some white rice like normal. I added in a little bit of lime juice and chopped up cilantro. Very simple, but we topped this with green onion, sour cream, and lime. I do want to let you know right now I'm giving away a free digital ingredient substitution chart to go along with my cookbook. Just for fun. But anyway, you need to try these fajita bowls. They are 10 out of 10. This cinnamon roll cake is just like regular cinnamon rolls, but better in my opinion. It is just so delicious. Grab a 9x13 baking dish, spray it with nonstick spray, then grab 2 7-ounce cans of cinnamon rolls. These are like the mini cinnamon rolls. You do want to save the frosting packets for later. Just line the cinnamon rolls right next to each other, just in your baking dish. And then over the top, you're going to scoop about 10 scoops of whipped cream cheese over the top. You could could use a lot of whipped cream cheese or you could use a little bit, kind of depending on how much you like cream cheese, but it just goes so well in this recipe. Over the top of the cream cheese, you're going to add a packet of the cinnamon swirl cake mix. Just add that packet over the top, kind of spread it out, so it's distributed evenly. And then over the top of that, the cinnamon swirl cake mix comes with like a brown sugar packet. So sprinkle that cinnamon brown sugar all over the top. Of course, spread it out evenly. Now the last thing you'll do is place 3/4 cup of sliced butter all over the top. Make sure you do slice your butter thinly, just so you could cover basically the whole top of the cake with the butter, so it melts down evenly. Bake this in a preheated oven to 350 degrees for about 40 minutes. Then just melt down that frosting in the microwave, just so it's like pourable. Pour it over the top, and then you could serve this up. This is absolutely delicious. You need to try this one at least once if you're like a cinnamon cream cheese fan. I love it. I make it every single year. It's just like a total hit in my house and way easier to make than regular homemade cinnamon rolls. I can't leave this video without thanking you guys so much for the love and support from last week's Thanksgiving video. I know times are tough for a lot of families right now, and my husband and I, we used to be on food stamps and WIC ourselves. So while I was at the store picking up my Thanksgiving groceries for the video, I also picked up quite a few gift cards to send to some of you guys who are struggling financially or with different health reasons. What really touched me is how many of you guys wanted to give too. It honestly brought me to tears. I was not expecting anybody to donate money. I didn't ask for it at all. But as I saw one donation come in, I saw another one come in, another one come in, another one come in. It kind of started a chain reaction. I just want to thank you guys so much for donating your money to people that could use a little extra support this year. I matched all of your guys' donations, so because of you guys, I will be sending a ton more gift cards out. I will be sending all of the gift cards out this coming week. If you don't get a gift card, please don't get mad at me. Don't feel bad. I'm trying to give as many people as I can a gift card. Quite a few people did email me. I will be doing this again here in the near future though, so just keep an eye out on my videos. And if you haven't seen my Thanksgiving video yet, make sure you check it out. Thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for being here today. Thank you so much for watching my videos, and thank you for giving to people who are in need. You guys amaze me. Thanks for being here. I love you all.